Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a special video for you guys, which you could probably tell from the title. We are going to be playing a game in the Middle East as Amir Muhammad, who is a Persian ruler who is located right in between two giant realms. Our goal for this episode is going to be to create the Kingdom of Persia. However, as I don't think that goal is going to be hard enough already, even though we have these giant neighbors, we are going to have the extra caveat of having to convert to this Zoroastrian faith, which you can see is being followed pretty heavily in this area of the game. That's our goal for the game, so let's just get right into the gameplay. Okay, so here we are in the game, and literally the first thing that we are going to do is find ourselves a wife who supports this Zoroastrian faith. And if I go to other faiths here, you can see all of these Zoroastrian faiths in the game, and I'm not exactly sure if this is the type of Zoroastrianism which was most common in the Persian Empire, but it's the one that we're going to choose because it will be the cheapest to convert to. But you historians in the comments, I'm sure, are going to let me know if me converting to this type of Zoroastrianism is going to be historically accurate. So let's say if we did want to convert to Zoroastrianism, you can see it would actually cost us 2,400 faith, and you can clearly see we do not have that much faith right now. One thing that we could do is find ourselves a wife who is part of the Zoroastrian religion, and we put a filter on here for non-Islamic wives and then also for inheritable traits, and you can see we found ourselves a lovely wife here who is part of the correct Zoroastrian faith but also has the robust trait. What that allows us to do is if we right click on her, we go to adopt faith, you can see it now only costs us 250 faith to convert to Zoroastrianism. And the good thing about that is that it'll actually give us this Chad of a religious quarter here, and what we can do with him is actually swap out our religious council member for this guy who has an amazing 25 learning as well as 16 prowess, because he is a giant. The good thing about actually being able to switch to Zoroastrianism is actually that you can see we have access now to holy wars, and if we are able to get up to the faithful level of devotion, we can do a holy war for an entire duchy at once, which is actually an awesome thing to be able to do so early into the game.
My lord, is that legal?
One other thing I'm going to do right off the start of this game is actually move up to the second tier of crown authority, because what that'll let me do is revoke this barony holding, which is a secondary castle that we actually have in the holding where our capital is. And the cool thing about these secondary castle holdings is that you can revoke them without losing any tyranny. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because it's going to add us a little bit more gold and some more men to our army. And if we ever drop our holding limit, you can always grant it away super quickly to a low noble where you can pick it back up again at any time you need. So one cool thing about our character is he actually has the strategist perk, which means he has filled out the strategist perk tree over here in the military focus, and some of these are amazing while you're at war. So this guy's going to be a very good commander for us in any future wars. One of the first things I'm going to do is actually pick up some onagers because they are so important for any wars you're going to be declaring. And another awesome thing about our playing location is that we actually have 2 sets of unique units available to us for purchase right off the bat. This group of men-at-arms here is a alternate to the armored footmen, which are a heavy infantry unit, and comparing the two, you can actually see that our unique unit has better stats in every category, as well as being 15 gold cheaper. So for the same price as a pikeman, we actually get a super strong, amazing unit here. So I think the next regiment of men-at-arms that I will create will be another one of these unique heavy infantry units, and then maybe after that, once we bump this number up to 4, we can finally get some camel riders. Okay, so another thing that I do want to do right off the bat is actually go on a pilgrimage, because if we can get ourselves up to the faithful level of devotion, we'll be able to do those holy wars, and that is a great way to get a huge amount of land all at once. Okay, awesome. Oh, this sucks because our fever is going to decrease and this guy's going to lose level of devotion, but I would love the extra 100 piety from this, which actually puts us into the second tier of level of devotion, meaning we can go ahead right away actually and declare a war for a duchy on these guys to our north, and they are pretty weak compared to us, so this would actually be a massive victory. This start, although it's hard because you're surrounded by some very big and strong kingdoms and even the Abbasid Empire, you can actually see that we have amazing stats right off the bat, so it's definitely going to be very interesting. So we're currently capturing this guy's castle here, and you can see because we have onagers and this guy does not have onagers, we actually completed capturing it way faster than he did. So now we can run our armies over there and stop him from taking our castle. However, he's just going to run away, so I think we'll keep taking some more of this guy's land. Okay, and we caught him right there taking one of our castles. So this should be a pretty easy victory for us. You can see we're getting some very good numbers here, meaning we'll get a lot of kills in this battle. And if we take a look, you can see we definitely did that with, of course, our unique unit here doing a ton of damage. So we just hit 100% war score after taking a little bit more land. So if we go ahead and enforce our demands, you can see we actually just got this whole duchy over here, and because it's a holy war, you get to keep all of the counties for yourself. But now you can see we actually inherited a war because this guy had declared war for this county, but I don't think that'll be a problem because they are not too strong. And you can see because I took that extra land, I am actually the new culture head for the Persian people, meaning I get to choose now which texts we research, and I think we actually have a lot of the good ones already, but I'm going to go for mustering grounds because that gives us more size to our men-at-arms, but also an extra regiment of men-at-arms, which is super useful in all your wars. I'm going to have to decide what I do with these extra counties that I just inherited, because I'm not sure what I want to do with them just yet. It would be nice if we were able to increase our holding limit, and if I was able to hold both my capital duchy and this duchy up here, but I don't think that's realistic for right now. So what I'm gonna have to do, I think, is for now to grant these lands away, of course, to one of my Persian vassals. Later in the game, as we increase our holding limit, maybe I'll be able to take some of this land over here, which has beautiful floodplains, or some land up here in the north. Okay, so this one, again, this defensive war was pretty easy, and we are going to get a nice little bit of gold, prestige, and piety from that war. You'll see that we have a good amount of gold again, so I'm actually going to increase to 30 onagers now, and I'm going to go ahead and make another regiment of these unique men-at-arms here because they are so very strong. I actually, when I gave this land away here, I gave it to a guy who wasn't part of my religion, which normally I would never do, but because he has such a high opinion of us, because we gave him so many counties, I'm actually going to convert him. And you can see that he's going to accept it because he had such a high opinion. And actually, when you convert him, even though you get a negative for demanding conversion, it always ends up giving the person more opinion of you anyway. So if you can convert, I would always do it. Because we just won a defensive war against these guys, we don't have a truce with them, which means I can go ahead right back at them and hit them with an offensive war.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
For this duchy here, which technically will be part of the Persian Empire once we create it. So I'm definitely going to want this land. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and declare that war, raise my armies, and start taking some of this delicious land. So I had a little peasant rebellion over here, and it's always a good idea to at least check out the leader of the peasant rebellion, which automatically goes into your dungeon after you destroy the peasant rebellion. And what you can do is negotiate their release, recruit them, and even convert them, which I always find is funny because normally they rebel because they're from a different religion, but you know, you offer them your freedom and they will automatically give up all of their beliefs for you, and they're normally a good prowess, so they actually serve as decent champions in your army. Okay, so we already finished this war up here for the duchy. I gotta say I'm pretty happy with that outcome because that was a very quick war, and we were losing some money for having all of our units raised, so I don't want to be too much in debt. But what I can do is go over here and grant these 2 counties away. To this guy over here actually looks amazing. And already you can see we're doing a great job at expanding our little realm. And really we have to expand fast enough to avoid being taken over by the Abbasid Empire here. But it looks like they actually got themselves into a little war over here with the Byzantine Empire, which I have to say doesn't seem like the smartest idea.
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
Who's attacking who here? Okay, the Byzantines attack them. So hopefully that's going to keep the Abbasid Empire busy, and maybe even it might weaken them enough that we can start taking some land from them, because I love all of this land along the Euphrates River. It is absolutely bonkers. You can see they have all kinds of wonders, but also some crazy castles, and floodplains actually have a huge bonus to your supply limit and your development growth, which is really cool. Because right now our castles are in mountain tiles, which have a big negative to your development growth. So that's why I'm not even bothering of trying to increase the development in my land over here. But one thing I do need to do is actually get this guy over here on increasing the control in my land, because low control affects both your taxes and how many men. Another thing I'm going to do is convert this county in my north that I hold that is not part of my religion. But if we check the religion screen, you can actually see our lovely Zoroastrian religion is spreading slowly but surely. So I think I had an event where our truce ran out with these guys because it was a little bit too quick for this truce to be over. But it appears like it ended anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and declare another war. But this time, I'm actually going to declare it for this duchy right here, because this duchy here actually has a holy site for our religion. If you guys have watched me play Crusader Kings 3 before, you know I'm an absolute sucker for controlling holy sites, because you can build grand temples there, and those temples, they give you a lot of gold flat out, but what they also give you is tax as a percentage. So what you can do is build all your economic buildings in that one holding and then just rake in racks and racks of money. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this war. This guy is just gonna get bullied by me the entire game until he's dead, but that really doesn't bother me. Because we need to expand as fast as possible to avoid the Abbasid Empire, or this other kingdom that is to our right here, which you can see is getting pretty big itself. However, they have just the same amount of units as me, so I'm not too worried about them. Okay, so after we take this last castle here, oh man, I'm not getting lucky with any of my pop-ups here, but we did finish the war, so at least we can enforce our demands, disband our armies, and you can see we are back in the green in our money, so we're gonna have to wait for this debt to go away. And what you can also see is that in this lovely county here, we could build the Grand Temple. Well, we can't actually build it yet because we need to get the crop rotations technology first, but looking at these stats, I cannot wait to get it, because it's going to give us +2 gold per month, as well as a 20% bonus to our holding growth, to our taxes in this holding, a bonus to the development percentage, and a flat out bonus to the development, which is going to help because this place is in the mountains, so the development doesn't grow as quick. What I am going to do is actually hold this duchy over here, because it only has 3 counties, and to offset that, I'm going to re-grant away our barony here that we took from this guy, because that's just going to get us down to 7 out of 5, which is still pretty bad. Like, we're going to get some bad effects from having 2 over our domain limit, but I think I'll be able to survive it. One thing I'm kind of upset about is that my wife hasn't been having any kids. I'm gonna go ahead and run a seduce scheme on her, because that normally works to start having kids. So literally 2 seconds after that, it turns out she got pregnant. So I'm pretty happy with that. I hope it's a boy, because I think if it's a girl, our heir will still be this guy who is our nephew. And I do not want to play as this guy because he is not part of my religion. And we are so lucky because it looks like she did have a son. He's going to be our new player heir. Unfortunately, he did not inherit her robust trait, but I'll take just a normal son, and maybe she'll have another one for me that has a good congenital trait. So the other unfortunate thing about being in the mountains is that the only economic building that you have access to is this quarries one, which is only a plus 0.2 tax per month, which isn't too high, but the building construction time is pretty cool, and you can see it goes up as you upgrade the quarries. So I'm going to build that, and it should decrease the speed at which we're going to build other buildings in here. The next building I'm going to focus on is getting this farms and fields up in this county that is actually on the coast here. So I'm going to do another war for a duchy over here, and I just love how good these holy wars are. It costs me only 100 piety per pop, and I've been able to get so much land so quickly, I think after I do this, if I take a few moments to build up a gold income, I'll probably be able to create the Persian kingdom already, which is actually crazy to me. I think here I only need to raise a local army because this guy is actually so weak now. Okay, so we finished that war too. Actually, if we look at the Kingdom of Persia over here, you can see we would be able to create it, but we first just need to get enough money to make another duchy, and then we need to get enough money to actually create the kingdom itself. But we're well on our way there, which I am stoked about. So we just hit enough money to make our second duchy holding, and I'm gonna go ahead and make this one up here in the north because this is the duchy. This is the second duchy I want to hold because you can see it has this slot right here for the Grand Temple. I don't know if I should feel bad about this, but I'm kind of happy my wife died.
What?
Ever since I ran the seduction scheme on her, she was having way too many kids for my liking, so she actually died in childbirth, and my daughter died with her, which is definitely a little bit sad, but you know, we already have 2 sons, so I definitely don't need any more kids. And unfortunately, I am stressed out because of this whole ordeal, so I think I'm going to choose this one. Normally I wouldn't mind choosing the drunkard trait. It more fits with my playstyle in real life. But I'm going to go for irritable just because this would actually lower our stewardship down by 2, making our domain limit drop to 4. And if I had 7 of 4, it would be a lot harder than having 7 of 5 holdings because I would then be making a minus 60% modifier on my taxes and levies, and I don't think that would be a good idea. So I'll choose irritable, and I'll have to find another wife. But the good news actually is, because I have my kids here, I can now look for a wife based off of stewardship, and I think I'll choose this lady down here. She's not the right religion, but what she is 43, so she probably won't have any kids. We could always convert her, and the best part about her is if you look, she has 15 stewardship. So if we go over here and put her on managed domain, you can see it bump our holding limit up to 6, which now means we only have a 20% negative effect on our money and units. We're already almost making 10 gold a month, which is actually awesome considering it's only been 17 years since the start of the game. So I'm realizing I never really talked about this Zoroastrian Faith, so let's go ahead and look at it in the Faith screen. And one thing that is actually pretty cool is we have this tenet here, Sky Burials, and this actually just gives everybody who believes in this religion a small boost to their disease resistance, which means if we look at our character, you can see we get this counter here for whenever we have penalties. We actually get a little bit of a counter, so that's going to help our characters live a little bit longer. But as well as that, we have a perk here that grants us piety whenever we host feasts, which is also pretty cool, and you get a +5 opinion with all of your vassals. And the last thing is a little bit more suspicious, but it's actually called divine marriage, and it involves marriages with close family members, which I know is something that a lot of Crusader Kings 3 fans would really enjoy. So maybe you guys should try out a Zoroastrian game whenever you get the chance as well. Another thing is the clergy appointment, which is who is your religious council member here, is temporal, which means that you actually get to choose who's in charge, but it is also for life, kind of like Catholicism. So once I do make one switch here, I cannot switch again. Another thing that's kind of important actually is the virtues and the sins. We have diligent, honest, and just as virtues, so those traits are extra important to look out for. So one thing I'm getting a little bit worried about is our guy is 66 years old and our son is only 8. And I do not think ruling this whole area here as a 8-year-old or as a child is going to be a good idea for us. So what I'm going to do is switch off of stewardship and onto the medicinal focus, just for the little bit of health boost here, and maybe we'll pick up some of these other ones that'll help our character live just a little bit longer. I'd love for him to live at least 6 more years, but that would take him to 72, which is kind of tough. But who knows, with this Sky Burial perk, maybe we'll be able to do it. Okay, so we just hit 500 gold, which means we can go ahead and create the Kingdom of Persia. It's gonna cost all of our gold, but it is totally worth it. Look at that beautiful emblem. We are now the lovely Zoroastrian King of Persia. And we actually did it so quickly. Look at this, 20 years into the game, we have created the Kingdom of Persia. I'm already super happy with that, but I think I'll just keep playing this game a little bit longer through to our next character's life, which will be our son. And then after that, I'll stop this game for now. Oh, and just as we were talking, it looks like our character has died. Unfortunately, he didn't live long enough to see this kid become an adult, but he is at least 10 years old. So I think what I'm going to do is continue this game until he's 16, because if I can keep this empire together for the next 6 years while this guy is a child, I shouldn't have any problems doing it after that. And I will consider the goal of this episode, which was to create the Zoroastrian Kingdom of Persia, completed. You guys should let me know in the comments down below if you want me to continue this game. There are a lot of cool decisions we can do in this game, like restore the Zoroastrian priesthood, as well as founding the Empire of Persia, which I think would be really cool, but I think it would be a little bit too ambitious for just this episode. So yeah, this is what I thought was going to happen. Get a lot of factions rising up. Luckily for us, we can actually just reduce our crown authority level, which will get rid of this Liberty faction here, which is honestly the only one I was really scared of, because the populist factions aren't too hard to deal with. I'm going to keep converting
This is your brain. This is drugs.
Our realms to our faith, because that's going to stop rebellions from happening. But already take a look at just how much of the map we already converted. Pretty happy about that. And I think what we need to do as this child is actually just to declare a war on this guy here, because having this guy's land right in the middle of my land is very annoying. Oh my god, what is wrong with this guy?
Oh, no, 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 no.
Jesus, man, he is ugly.
I'm ugly and I'm proud!
So I just got the notification that our character is actually gay, but I've actually never noticed that this ever affected my character in the game. I'm sure it has an effect on your character's fertility, but I find if you're the king of a realm, it's never really stopped me from having any kids. So I think we shall be okay. Unfortunately, we have a choice between two really bad perks here. I hate taking Craven because it gets you all kinds of unwanted stress through a lot of decisions. So I'm just going to become lazy instead, which actually is sinful, which I didn't realize, and I'm kind of pissed about. I guess it's not that bad. It'll give me at least a bonus to my stress loss throughout the game. Ooh, one cool thing we can do is actually give our father a sky burial, which actually gains us 250 piety, which is really cool, and a little bit of opinion with our courtiers. So we have our first rebellion over here, and luckily for us, it's just a bunch of peasants, which should be pretty easy for us to win against because they never have any men at arms, which makes their armies really weak always. Oh my god, why are they going in the water? Is that a joke? What the hell was the point of that? I don't know if this is a patch or like a bug, but I find the peasant armies have just been so much more annoying recently. They'll always just run away. It's like, if you're a peasant army rebelling to take land away from me, you shouldn't be allowed to leave my borders. And unfortunately, we have a war declared on us for a whole duchy, which I'm not a fan of at all. Oh, and my capital duchy? Are you crazy?
This is fucking bullshit.
Oh man, that's actually very annoying, because this person looks quite strong actually with their allies. Yeah, you can see they're up to 2,600 and we only have 1,800. But at least we finished our peasant war. I think what I'm gonna have to do here is marry off my sister for an alliance here. And now, is this person actually near me? That's the question. They're not too far, and they're actually not in a war. So I'm gonna send this person off to get married to this big kingdom, and then I'll actually marry off one of my brothers too over here. Okay, so this guy's actually not too far from me either, so I'm going to send a proposal to him too, and that should net us two actually pretty big alliances. So I'm going to go ahead and call both of these guys into the war, and that should be all we need to fight these guys off over here. We have enough renown for a dynastic legacy, and I'm going to go down blood.
Daring today, aren't we?
I know, not very original, but I just think it's so good getting the blood trait, and I love to spread those congenital traits around my family. Okay, and our allies have came in here to help us, which is absolutely perfect.
It's absolutely perfect.
Thank you, allies. Okay, and since our allies came in to help us, we hit 100% war score, and we can enforce our demands, which nets us a good amount of gold, actually takes us right out of debt, and gets us a little bit more prestige, which is good. And we managed to make it to 16 years old. We only had to fight off that one war. And you can see we are now the new culture head, and I'm pretty happy with that. Our player actually looks amazing militarily wise, and if we put our wife over here on manage my domain, you can see we're at 7 of 6 domains, meaning our troop number should increase by a good amount here, and our gold should go up a little bit as well. But I think this is actually a perfect place to end our playthrough. I hope you guys have enjoyed this game. Please let me know down in the comments if you want to see me continue. We are still squished in between 2 pretty big realms here, but we are doing all right for ourselves, and we have the Zoroastrian Persian Kingdom. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.